Good day, everyone. Today, I will be presenting our study titled Fiscal Decentralization and Welfare Economic, the Linkage. This research was conducted by Eleonora Sofilda, Muhammad Zilal Hamzah, Dida Nurhaida, Tasum, and Renny Risqiani from Universitas Trisakti and Universitas Krisnadwipayana, Jakarta, Indonesia. To begin with, it is important to understand the background of the topic. Welfare economic is a field that looks on how government policies affect the overall well-being of the society. It provides the theoretical foundation for why government should step in to redistribute resources, provide public good, and fix problems in the market. Common examples where this applies include healthcare, education, and public infrastructure. At the same time, there's the concept of fiscal decentralization. This refers to the process of shifting the responsibility for collecting tax and spending public funds from the central government to local government. This idea is that by moving decision-making closer to the people, public service can be more efficient, better in quality, and more responsive to the local need. In Indonesia, fiscal decentralization officially began with the passing of Law Number 2020, 22, and 25 in 1990. This law marked a significant move toward giving regional government more autonomy and a fair share of financial resources. However, even after more than 2 decades, there is still ongoing debate about whether this shift has truly led to better welfare outcomes for the population. Research gap and objective. Despite both concepts sharing common objective, efficiency and equity, studies that explicitly explore the link between fiscal decentralization and welfare economics are still limited. Most literature treats them separately. Our study aims to fill this gap by analyzing the thematic and empirical connection between the two, with a focus on efficiency, public good provision, and equity across regions. We also explore how institutional quality and local capacity influence the outcome. Literature review highlight. Several scholars categorize decentralization into 3 types: administrative, political, and fiscal. Broadway 2006 emphasized that fiscal decentralization enhances efficiency in resource allocation. Dev's 1997 also highlight the importance of institutional design and legal mandate. Empirical studies show mixed results. In Vietnam, decentralization improved GDP growth, but in Europe, the impact was weaker. Welfare outcomes depend on governance quality, fiscal capacity, and intergovernmental relations. Study by Chu and Yang, 2012, and Aslim and Nekwiati, 2017, link tax decentralization to better welfare outcomes, particularly in saving behavior and labor participation. However, Dick Sagu, 2020, and others caution that the quality of service delivery doesn't always improve. Methodology. To explore the connection between fiscal decentralization and welfare economic, the study adopted systematic literature review approach following the framework established by Khan and colleagues in 2003. This method was chosen for rigorous and structured nature, which enable researchers to identify, evaluate, and synthesize existing studies in a transparent and replicable way. The literature search was conducted using two prominent academic databases, Web of Science, WOS, and Scopus. To ensure relevance and quality, the study applies a set of inclusion criteria. Specifically, only articles published between 2014 and 2023 were considered. The selected documents were limited to peer-reviewed research articles written in English and fell within the field of business economic, and public administration. The keyword strategy was designed to capture the evolving discourse surrounding of fiscal decentralization and its interconnection with welfare-related issues. Three primary keyword combinations were used: fiscal decentralization to establish the general scope, welfare state plus fiscal decentralization to identify research explicitly linking to the two concepts, and Pareto efficiency plus public good to explore theoretical connection with welfare economic. Through this process, the study was able to trace the development of relevant themes over time and map the relationship among key concepts, offering a comprehensive understanding of the scholarly landscape in this domain. Through keyword mapping analysis conducted in both Web of Science and Scopus, several recurring themes emerged. Notably, fiscal decentralization was frequently associated with broader issues such as income inequality, corruption, institutional quality, and economic growth. This association suggests that fiscal decentralization is not only a technical financial matter, but also deeply intertwined with socio-political and developmental dimensions. Significantly, the theme of welfare and public good appear consistently across the literature. While these terms were not always explicitly framed within a formal theoretical context such as economics or Pareto efficiency, they clearly reflected a concern for the distributive and service-oriented outcome of fiscal decentralization process. This indicates a strong, albeit sometimes implicit, connection between decentralization practice and the broader goal of improving social well-being. To ground our analysis within the framework of welfare economic, we turn to the concept of Pareto efficiency. According to Stiglitz, a condition is considered Pareto optimal when no individual can be made better off without making someone else worse off. This optimal state is achieved when the marginal rate of substitution between good equal to the marginal rate of transformation, a balance that is particularly relevant in the context of public good profession and taxation policy. In examining this link, we identify marginal fiscal costs as a critical variable. Research by Lee 2060 illustrate how factors such as capital mobility and household migration can be significantly influence the costs incurred by government in delivering public good. When population shift or capital flow across region, it alters demand and resource allocation, requiring government to adjust their fiscal strategies accordingly. As such, the implementation of efficient local tax policy becomes essential. This policy must be responsive not only to local need but also to fiscal pressure created by demographic and economic change. Achieving welfare optimizing condition therefore hinges on government ability to manage this dynamic cost while maintaining equitable and efficient service delivery. The connection between fiscal decentralization and welfare economic can be understood through an integrated conceptual framework that highlight how various economic principles interact. At the core of this framework, the idea that delegating fiscal authority to local government play a crucial role in improving public good provision. Services such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure that directly affect social well-being. This, in turn, align closely with the goal of welfare economic with focus on maximizing social welfare through effective resource allocation distribution. As local government respond more directly to regional need, the efficiency of resource use improve, a principle known as allocative efficiency. Further reinforcing this linkage is the concept of Pareto efficiency, where optimal welfare is achieved when resources are distributed in a way that no one can be made better off without making someone else worse off. This economic ideal serves as benchmarking for evaluating the impact of fiscal policies on public well-being. Finally, local tax policy emerges as a pivotal instrument within this chain. They influence how revenue are generated and allocated, ultimately shaping the government capacity to meet public needs fairly and efficiently. Collectively, this element illustrates how efficient decentralization supported by sound fiscal strategy can be contribute to equitable and sustainable welfare outcomes. In conclusion, this study reaffirmed the increasing academic and policy level attention being given to the topic of fiscal decentralization, particularly in its intersection with welfare outcomes. The finding underscore that decentralization has the potential to enhance efficiency, promote citizen satisfaction, and advance regional equity. However, these benefits are not automatic. They are largely depend on the presence of strong local institutions and sufficient fiscal autonomy at the subnational level. From a policy standpoint, several key recommendations emerge. First, it is essential to strengthen the institutional quality of local government, ensuring they have the capacity and governance framework necessary to manage the responsibilities effectively. Second, policymakers must design equitable intergovernmental transfer mechanisms to address regional fiscal disparities. enabling less resource area to meet basic service needs. Third, improving data transparency and perform monitoring system is critical to fostering accountability and informed decision making. Ultimately, the success of fiscal decentralization in enhancing welfare hinges on achieving a careful balance. Autonomy must be matched with accountability, and efficiency must be go hand in hand with equity. Only through such balanced approach can decentralization fulfill its promise of delivering better outcome for all segments of society. This study highlights the crucial linkage between fiscal decentralization and welfare economics, showing that while decentralization holds promise for enhancing efficiency and equity, its actual impact depends heavily on institutional context and local governance capacity. By bridging these two areas of study, we offer a deeper understanding of how decentralization policies can be better designed to support broader welfare outcomes. Thank you for attention and interest in this study.